Hello, people. It is your good friend, Chad Marco here. And today I have a very special series that I'm going to have to unveil to you guys. This is going to be called The Process. And I'm basically just going to break down step by step what I do when it comes to making beats, writing songs, recording songs, editing songs, and even, uploading it to where and how. So yeah, that's gonna be very useful to some of you guys out there trying to get your own thing started. So I'm happy to give back to the community. Now, shall we get started? Today's episode is called Tools of the Trade. Today, I just want to talk about what type of hardware and software that I use to make the music and the videos that I do. So let's get right to it. Now, I'm no expert by any means, but if you've listened to my stuff and you enjoy what I've been making, then I can at least get you up to where I am, my level. So here we go. I kind of go with kind of a minimalist setup. I don't use a lot of fancy gear or expensive gear or anything like that. I try to keep it in the affordable range, so you guys should be able to scrape up the change to get the things that I'm gonna list off here. So first of all, you're gonna need a laptop. Like whenever I'm making music, a laptop is a must. I needed a laptop so I can download and use the various programs, whether it's FL Studio, Adobe, or whatever. And you can usually get a decent laptop from anywhere from around 150 to 200, 250. You don't need anything super expensive or super high tech. Just something basic, something standard that can get you through. All right. Secondly, you're gonna need a microphone to record yourself. Now, I've always used something called they're like a USB condenser audio Technica mic. You can find them on Amazon. They're usually anywhere from around $100 to $150. I know I've heard a story that Juicy J, he recorded Bands That Make a Dance. Bands That Make a Dance. He recorded that shit on a similar mic to what I use. They said it was $100 USB mic, and that's similar to what I've been using pretty much the entire time I've been making music. So it's nothing super fancy. I'm sure there are better mics out there, but I've managed to make some pretty good music using it. And it's affordable and it's efficient. Go get one. Also, I think it's a no-brainer. Get you some headphones because whether you're making a beat or editing a song, I've found that it's useful to be able to not only hear it through speakers but also through headphones, so you can make the fine tuning, putting certain instruments left or right. You're not gonna really hear that accurately using speakers, so headphones let you really kind of manipulate vocals and instruments to be on the left or the right side of the ear. So, but as far as just straight up speakers, I try to go for something at least decent. For the longest time, I used shitty, just speakers, old ass speakers that my mom had around the house. But now I'm using some speakers called Mackies. They're called Mackies. They're around $100. You can order them on Amazon. But they sound really good. They're super loud. In fact, they were so good that my mom, she asked me what I was using, and I told her, and then she went and got her own. So these are some really good speakers, and they're affordable, only $100. But get you some good ass speakers, man. Get those Mackies. All right. Now that was the hardware. That was pretty much what you're gonna be using to, your physical tools. But now you've got your laptop, you've got your mic, you've got your Mackies and some headphones, and you're ready to do something, man. So at this point, you got to get some programs. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth on how to retrieve these programs. I'm sure you guys are pretty. I'm just gonna assume you guys know how to, get things at a cheaper price, if you know what I mean. I'm not gonna uh, incriminate myself here, but uh, you know, anything that I list off here is gonna be pretty easy to find if you really want it. So first of all, you gotta have FL Studio. Um, Now, some people kind of make fun of FL Studio because it's like the baby's producing program. It's like sort of considered uh, the bare minimum of it. There are definitely like I hear like things like Ableton. I hear that's better than FL Studio, and I'm sure there are others, but I don't know, man. Like it's always worked for me, and I think a lot of like even mainstream producers who make great music they use it as well. Like it's a very just easy to use, and I think it's a great place to at least start if you're a beginner as far as like making beats. So you got to get you FL Studio. They got different versions from like like 11, 12, 10, whatever. You don't have to have the latest version, but just try to get something not too old because they have improved the program over the years. Just excuse me for a second. I'm gonna take a drink. Woo! Okay. Now that you got FL Studio, now you're gonna need something to record your vocals in. Now, they have different programs like Audacity, Pro Tools, but I've always used something called Adobe Audition. There are several different versions of this, but the one that I use primarily is a very old version, Adobe Audition 1.5. Like, it's definitely old as hell. So I would recommend getting that as well as a newer version because the newer versions have more to work with, but it's something about that older version. Like it's that's where I always start as far as like recording. Like I at least start there because just it's something it's just so easy. It makes sense, and from there you can kind of take those files and load it up into a more up to date version of Adobe and do more with it. But I usually start off with Adobe 1.5, and if I want to do something extra, I'll load those vocals into either FL Studio because you can also edit vocals in FL Studio, or I upload it into a newer version of Adobe just in case I want to do something extra with it. So yeah, Adobe Audition. All right, next. Now, if you want to like upload your songs or beats or whatever to YouTube, you could use I use a program called Sony Vegas. It's basically a program where you can, like let's say for example, I want to upload a beat to YouTube, then I can bring up Sony Vegas. I throw the MP3 into Sony Vegas and then throw like an image or something on top of that. And then, I can turn that into a video and then I upload it into YouTube. So, if you do want to share your stuff and put it on YouTube, you're gonna need something to actually make the videos with. And Sony Vegas has always worked well for me. Okay. All right. Next, I would get a program called Format Factory. Now, what this program does is it can convert like pretty much files to different formats. Like it can convert an MP4 video into an MP3. The reason why I suggest you get this program is because, like, just for example, let's say you're making a beat in FL Studio and you like to use like samples, like from let's say a movie or just a video clip that you find on YouTube. Like often what I do is I go on YouTube and I look up certain sound effects. If I have an idea for a song and I need that particular sound effects, I'll download it from YouTube and then I'll use Format Factory to convert it into an MP3 so I can chop it up in FL Studio and turn it into a sample. I found like a lot of other uses for Format Factory, but it's a great tool for just converting files because just making music, I found that I've needed to do that a lot with certain audio files. So I would get that. And last but not least, you're gonna want paint.net. Now, uh, of course, there's what's that? Oh yeah, Photoshop. Now, Photoshop is definitely much better than this, but this is like just kind of a bare minimum like paint picture photo editing program to use. Like, if you're making like some type of bootleg mixtape cover, or maybe you're just editing a photo that's gonna be like in a video for your beat or whatever. Like, just it's good to have a photo editing program because like on a lot of sites where you can upload your music, you can also add like video or maybe a picture to it or whatever. So it's good to have like photo editing software. And with that, that is the last tool that you're gonna need in your toolbox just to get started at making music of your own. Oh man, I love you guys. Thank you for listening, and just hold your horses. And I'm gonna have part two of the process where we're gonna talk about actually making beats and writing songs a bit. So see you guys then.